You know, for literally thousands of years, there's been one book that generals, CEOs, and pretty much anyone in a competitive spot has turned to, and that's Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Today, we're going to dive into one of its most mind-bending but powerful concepts, how you can actually win before the battle even starts. Okay, just read that again. Seeks battle after the victory has been won. I mean, how does that even work? It sounds like a total paradox, right? How can you possibly win a fight that hasn't even happened yet? Well, this isn't about telling the future. It's about a completely different way of thinking about strategy itself.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack what in the world Sun Tzu was talking about. We'll get into how this ancient idea of preparation and positioning is really the secret sauce to succeeding in, well, pretty much anything.
So yeah, the big question, how is it possible? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental shift in how you think. Instead of focusing on how you're going to fight, the real master strategist focuses on creating a situation where the outcome is basically a foregone conclusion. It's a two-step process, and you might be surprised to learn it starts not with attack, but with defense. Sun Tzu actually called this first step achieving invincibility. It's all about making yourself an impossible target, building a foundation so rock solid that losing just isn't on the table. And this quote just lays it out so perfectly. I mean, look at the order of operations here. First, you make defeat impossible. Only then do you even start looking for a chance to beat your opponent. The number one priority isn't to win, it's to make absolutely sure that you cannot lose. And Sun Tzu breaks this down into two really distinct ideas. Check this out. Security against defeat. That's all on you. That's entirely in your hands. It's about your prep, your defenses, what he calls your tactical dispositions. But the ability to defeat the enemy, well, that actually depends on them. It hinges on a mistake they make, a weakness they show, an opportunity the enemy gives you. So you control your own security, but it's your opponent who hands you the opening for victory. So your primary job, before anything else, is to become the architect of your own fortress. It doesn't matter if we're talking about business, a negotiation, or some personal challenge. The goal is to make your position so secure, so unassailable, that whatever your opponent throws at you, you can handle it. Okay, so how do you actually do that? How do you become unassailable and build that fortress? Well, the answer is in something Sun Tzu called tactical dispositions, and this is really the nuts and bolts of the whole strategy. Now, tactical dispositions, it's not just about where you put your soldiers on a map. You gotta think of it more like a chess grandmaster setting up the board. It's the whole architecture of your plan. It means knowing yourself inside and out, knowing your enemy, hiding your strengths, and creating a setup that is just fundamentally better before a single move is even made. You know, Sun Tzu saw victory as just the last step in a really logical process. It all starts with measurement of the terrain, of the forces involved. From there, you get an estimation of resources. Then comes the hard part, calculation, figuring out strengths and weaknesses. After that, you're balancing the chances of success. And only after all of that comes victory. It's almost like a scientific method. And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. A win isn't some lucky break. It's the unavoidable outcome of better planning, better preparation, and better positioning. You've already done the math, and the equation can only add up to one thing. So you've done it. You've made your position invincible through these careful tactical dispositions. You can't be defeated. So what now? Well, now you wait. You watch, and you get ready to strike with overwhelming, decisive force, but only when that perfect moment shows up. This sounds so obvious, right? But it's absolutely amazing how often people ignore it. You don't win by just ramming your head against a brick wall. No way. You win by flowing around that wall and finding the open door. You take all that strength you've built up and you apply it directly against your opponent's biggest weakness. And finding that weakness, that's an art form in itself. It's all about surprise, about misdirection, about hitting them where it hurts. The key is to not fight the enemy on their terms, or where they're strongest. You dictate the terms of the fight by showing up where they never thought you would, forcing them to react to your plan, not the other way around. And this metaphor is just perfect. Think about it. A falcon doesn't just dive randomly. It circles, it watches, it calculates the exact right moment, and then it commits with incredible speed and precision. That is exactly what the attack should feel like. Patient observation, followed by sudden, unstoppable action.
At the end of the day, this is so much more than just a military handbook. It's really a philosophy for how to handle any competitive situation, whether that's a career move, a new business, or a personal goal you're trying to hit. And the last absolutely critical piece of the strategic puzzle is adaptability. I mean, having a plan is crucial, but being so rigid that you can't change it, that's a recipe for disaster. Sun Tzu compares the master strategist to one of the most powerful and adaptable forces on Earth. So here's the thing. True mastery isn't about having one single perfect plan. It's all about your ability to see how things are changing on the battlefield and adjust what you're doing in real time. Your plan gets you to the river, sure, but it's your adaptability that's going to get you across to the other side. And that's really the question Sun Tzu leaves us with, isn't it? Before your next big project, your next tough conversation, your next challenge, where can you make your position so strong that you can't lose? How can you set the stage so that when that moment of truth finally comes, the victory has already been won?